looking good so far. Now it's time to shift gears, get away from this for a while, and make the screw. For those of you that have watched this video here on how to make the clamp, you can go back to that, and in number 275, I believe it is, about in the middle, I make these screws, and these screws are almost identical to these because they're a 5/16 fine and it's knurled and it's got a hole drilled in it. The only difference is the end. Now there's many different ways of making this, so you might want to refer to this as alternate methods. It also can be made, I don't know if I showed that in there or not, this is, you can see it's plated. That is all thread, that is threaded rod. It's not particularly easy to find it in a fine thread. I found this at a Rural King. And then the knurl piece is separate. You might be able to see there where it's been held in with Loctite. But that's an easy way to get around threading, especially if you don't have a die that is that size. But let me get started on this and show you the way that I'm going to do it for this little vise. Here's the drawing for the screw, and you can see that it is made with 1/2-inch stock. Now use 12L14 if you've got it. It'll sure make things a lot easier for your threading. And it is to be knurled, but knurling really is optional. So if you don't have a good knurler like this, don't bother to knurl it. Just have it, let's see, where is this here? Since it has a little handle in it, the knurl doesn't serve a whole lot of purpose, but I sure do like the looks of it. So use a pinch type knurler. If you have one of these, take a short trip to the waste can and throw it away. Now the only reason I haven't thrown this away is because it has a tool holder on the other end, but I don't like the bump type. You never get a nice sharp crisp diamond knurl. But I'm not going to show you how to knurl. That is shown in the other one. And for some reason last year on this piece of 1/2-inch stock I knurled the ends. Maybe I was anticipating doing this, I don't know. But this is what I'm going to start with. I'll cut it off to length, turn it down to diameter, which is 5/16, 0.312, and then I'm ready to thread, and I'll talk about all of this here later on. Alright, if at all possible, use screw machine stock, especially if you're going to use a die, if you want a good thread. 12L14, you know, I always painted it purple. So again, I cut it a little bit extra long. I know you guys are thinking, what's with this guy? He always makes everything longer than it needs to be and then trims it, but that's the way I deal with it. Now in the other video I used this. Now do not even think about threading with a hand die stock in the vise, because you will not get a straight thread. So it has to be done in the lathe, and you've seen me do it in the other video with that threading holder, the die holder, under power no less. But you know what? Since this has already been knurled, and I do not intend to make another knurl today, I have decided to show you a clip that came out of that previous video, 265, make that 275, on knurling. So I'm going to show you that short clip right now on knurling so I don't have to do it again. Watch this. Now I'm ready to knurl. The knurling tool that I'm using was demonstrated in this video, Machine Shop Tips number 215. So take a look at that, because I'm not going to talk a whole lot about that. I do not recommend the so-called bump type of knurler. I just haven't had success with them at all, but you're going to have to, of course, use whatever tool that you have, and you probably can get away without a knurl at all. Just drill a hole in there for your handle, but I'm going to allow 1.5 inches for the knurl. So if you're having trouble knurling, that gives you a little area to set your knurling tool or to practice. But again, remember that part of that is going to be for chucking later on and then cut off. So I've got that marked at 1.5 inches. I'm on the clausing lathe, and I'm running it at 360 RPM, and I'm going to use a power feed of 11 thousandths. And the knurling tool is all set up, ready to go. Use plenty of oil. You want to flush away those chips. Reversing the direction. The knurling tool that I used was a medium diamond, and that type of knurling tool is used on a turret lathe. That's a Brown and Sharp. You've seen it in the other videos, and they work every time. But try to get a hold of a pinch type of knurler. I guess you could call that Brown and Sharp a pinch type rather than a bump type. But take a look at these knurls now. How nice and crisp and sharp, and how they come right to a diamond shape. And that's what your knurl should look like. That's if I can focus it. You see that? That's what you're looking for. Okay, how did you like that on the knurling? Pretty slick. Now I'm back at the closing lathe. I'm going to face the end of the half-inch stock off and then center drill it. Since this stock is going to be turned down to 5/16 diameter, do not center drill it very deep. That's enough right there, or it will interfere with the thread. I'm going to turn this down to 5/16 diameter on the Atlas lathe, and the reason I'm using the Atlas lathe now is I need to hold the knurl in a collet, because a 3-jaw chuck is going to damage the knurl. Even this may smash the knurl somewhat, so I'll go ahead and mount one end in the collet like that, and the other end held by, supported, I should say, by a center, and then I'm ready to turn it down. Alright, here's the setup on the Atlas lathe for turning it down. One end, of course, in the collet, the knurled end, as mentioned before, and the other supported by the spring-loaded live center. And here it is, the last pass. That should take it down to 0.312. And it's ready for threading. I'm finally ready to thread here on the closing lathe, and the stock has been turned down to 312, just a little under 310. Chamfered the end. Now I'm holding the knurl in this chuck, and there isn't much to hang on to without damaging the knurl. An 1.5 die, 5/16 fine, is in the headstock, and I'm in back gear, slow speed. Originally I wanted to use this geometric die head, but I just don't have a large enough hole here for the work to pass through it. Then I thought I'd use my Cleveland die holder, but it also is rather blind right here, so the work would bottom out. So that's why I'm going about it in this manner, and I think that's probably what I did in the other video. I don't remember it so long ago. The whole idea here is that the tailstock will slide back and forth and be self-feeding. It had plenty of oil, and I think I'll lay a rag under there to minimize the mess. Okay, here we go. I occasionally like to stop it and put it in reverse to break the threads. The chips, I should say, to break the chips. And I will clean the die out if it looks like it's loading up. And so on. And I approach the shoulder. I don't want to shear it off, so I got my hand on the clutch. Try to get those chips out of there so I can see what I'm doing. Now the drawing showed a little undercut there, and that is if you are single point threading, and you certainly are welcome to thread this by the single point method. And now I need to back it up. I like to pull a little bit on it. Boy, what was with that crazy autofocus in that last clip? Out of control. Alright, okay, fits fine. Very little wobble, not that a little bit will matter. The next thing I'm going to do here is to drill this hole for the set screw that will hold the screw in place. And looking at the drawing here, you can see that it is 280 thousandths from the one end. It'll be in the middle from the other direction, and that'll be 500 thousandths. So there's the 500 thousandths, and oh, what a luxury. There's the 280, and that will be drilled and then tapped 1024. I think you've seen this 100 times here. There's the 1024, and the tap drill size roughly is a 5/32, so I'll center punch that and do as so. And you know what? I'm going to drill it right here in this vise. How about that? I've showed this 100 times before, but for you newbies, if you take your automatic center punch and put it in the furrow, and I have scribed those fairly deep, and just slide it in the furrow until you feel it click into the next furrow, you will have a nice accurate center punch mark, and it's ready to drill. And I just finished tapping at 1024. Now, something I did off camera, I took a bottoming 1/4 inch drill bit, that's a bottoming, and square off the bottom of this hole. Now if you don't have a drill, you can use an end mill, 1/4 inch end mill. You do not have to do that, and the drawing shows you a way around that. And the reason that I'm doing this, well, let me explain here from the other one. The drawing calls for you to form the end of the screw at an angle that is the same angle as the end of a drill bit. Now you can avoid that extra step, and that's what I'm going to do now, by flattening the end of that and going into a flat bottom hole, because the whole idea here is that when you tighten this, you want the bottom of the screw, the end of the screw, to hit the bottom of the hole, not the shoulder right here. I'll talk about this little groove here in a minute.